I think that your story and that story of being in jail is a perfect kind of metaphor or a perfect kind of analogy for everyday people that are struggling with that, when they feel that they're stuck in a place where there's no escape, there's constant bad influences, there's constant kind of overwhelmingness of your situation, to be able to prioritize the clarity of mind and prioritize your ability to keep your mental health in check was the game changer and continues to be the game changer in every aspect. Because like I said, you could have easily fell victim. You could have easily been like, you know what, fuck it, bro. Like I'm here, like I'm just gonna follow the trend.
Definitely. And you know, you are conditioned by your environment, man. 100%. No matter where you are, man. Like it is something that it took a lot of mental strength for me to keep my head as straight as I could, because I essentially had everything stripped. I had my job, so I had no financial income. I had, you know, family taken away, friends I couldn't access. You know, I didn't have any clothes, man. I don't wear clothes, you
just
know,
the greens.
Like, everything, bro, in the greens. So, like, you know, it was for me having to start from scratch again. So, of course, man, I heard stories and people coming, you know, approaching me about, I try to keep very mindful about who I associated with and spoke to. Especially about personal stuff. So, for a lot of the time in there, people knew me as a personal trainer or, you know, whatnot. I never told too many people that I was a bookie because of what it could open up. You know, anything to do with money, you know, and that kind of stuff can be, you know, you can be manipulated or you can be forced to do something that you don't want to do. And people get wind of that kind of stuff, man. It can open up some bad situations. So, for the most part, you know, I just tried to associate with people that I felt I could trust. But yeah, as I said, it took a lot of mental strength, man. And I think, you know, right now I'm just so fortunate, the fact that I did all those things that helped me. And this is what the biggest lesson from this virus, what it's teaching people is, you know, we need to all slow down, you know, we need to take a moment to pause and we need to do the inner work. We need to do some self-reflection. We right now are finding, you know, the NRL's been suspended, the AFL, a lot of things that, I mean, I love, but they're distractions as well. You know, socializing is a distraction.
Huge.
You know, going out to the pub, getting on the piss all the time and stuff like that, man. Getting on drugs, you feel anxious for a week. You know, like these are things that halt our human progress. You know, and evolution. So right now, so what happened to me in prison was, you know, all of that was removed out of my life. So I had that 18-month opportunity to completely dive deep and bring out all this shit, you know, that I had in me. I think, you know, when I got out, that period, there was about, let's say, 6 to 9 month period that I kind of felt like was a test each time I went out and, you know, got on the piss, or, you know, each time I fell into an old habit or something. It was so testing that time because I was still going through this whole, you know, reintegration back into the community. And all the boys, all they want to do is get on the piss, you know, just like take you out for a drink. So it took me catching up with everyone that I hadn't seen for so long. It took me that long to kind of, you know, see everyone and catch up with everyone. And you're talking about many different circles that were, you know, that's their first instinct. It's me, let's go for a drink. You know, it's not the best thing for me because I haven't touched it for so long. And that's a lot of the times where I had to say no or, you know, respectfully, obviously decline to have, you know, constantly too many big, there were some, but there were, there were times where, I just knew that, it just wasn't the best situation for me to be in. So that's a constant battle for me. Every, that's the kind of thing where you just got to be headstrong enough to say no, what's for your highest good, and know what's for your highest good. So I, and look, even to this, like I'm only a few years out of prison now, and I'm absolutely blessed and grateful for where I am. But yeah, it's, as mental health is a constant thing that you just need to always be mindful of. And when we feel like we're slipping, or we need to give ourselves back some of that time, that self-love, that reflection. And I guess, it's that old saying goes, like when you can't kind of, especially in the field I'm in now, I can't be doing what I'm doing with a cup half full. I need to make sure I'm always, filling my cup up. And, for me, that's, constantly practice, being consistent with meditation, staying on top of physical health, and taking time to talk to people. It's the biggest thing. Just getting some stuff, not internalizing it, getting it off the chest and getting it out, and just verbalizing it. It doesn't have to be to someone, writing it out. Your emotions, your feelings. You don't have to keep it. Burn it if you want to. Release it. It's just constantly filtering things out, And like last year was probably, as I was saying earlier in the podcast, one of the hardest years. I've been out a few years now, but probably the hardest year because of how much I took on and how much, how overwhelmed I got, to the point where things started to break down in my life. So, start of this year, I've just really made a conscious effort to be, giving myself that time to, fill my cup up and make all, conscious choices of how my energy levels are going to be throughout the day. So,
it's amazing. Love that.
That's really sick, man. I think the really important point is setting that like non-negotiables first off, because a lot of the time, especially high performance, people that like to perform and never be like, I can take on everything, is setting that time to actually yourself and using that as in like, this is part of me being like an entrepreneur, high performer, giving myself that space and that time to just reflect, being myself, understand what's going on, because that's how you're going to perform better the next day anyway.
For sure.
It's all about that. And I think that that's so important. It's a clear example from your story that, taking that moment to take a step back, reflect, do that inner work, and then go back the next day and smash it is huge.
100%. And look, I've had some, like rocky roads, I would say, little speed bumps and whatnot since, but, a few health scares and stuff as well. So like, I'm always trying to be mindful of, my health as well. And I guess I'll go into a little bit of what happened last year. And, I opened up the Cure almost 12 months ago. Hopefully we make 12 months. I don't know, we might get shut down. So.
Hope not.
Hope not. But, and, that in itself, was a huge project, and it was just, it took a lot of energy, to set this, establish this, and to really drive it out in the early stages. And then, from that, I was, using this as the platform to get into other things. So I linked up with a guy, and he ended up, he started a free group meditation circle for anyone, all inclusive, to come down to the beach and just do 20 minutes of meditation every Saturday morning. And I connected with him and I just loved that idea, I had just started this and I was like, here's my chance to start, impacting my community. We're already starting to drive this name and get the brand out there. And I ended up having to go, I went to his session and we kind of hit it off with, and, had a meeting down here and we ended up landing Wanda Beach and going through all the necessary, requirements with council and the surf club to just have the group be, like, for the people of our community, able to come down and do the meditation. So that there was one thing. And I guess, for me, I enjoy running meditations, but what it does open up is very much, that whole sense of people coming to talk to you about their problems and about mental health. And I'm all about it, but in some cases, it became very hard to maintain and give advice on everything that I wasn't fully, qualified to do. Yeah. I tried to help as much, as possible, but I'm not a psychiatrist or a counselor or a psychologist, sorry. So essentially there were some really heavy things that were starting to come my way, in terms of, brink of suicide type of conversations. And, mental health became such a mainstream topic last year. I feel that, it was very heightened, in people's minds. Yeah. And I'm so happy people were really turning a corner and opening up and expressing their emotions and verbalizing them. But for me, I didn't have the barriers put up, to be able to deflect, the information I was being, given. Yeah. I was trying to help the best I could, but some cases were very, very deep. And I have been through a lot of trauma. So then that was bringing up my own trauma as well. Yeah. Some of the stuff that I hadn't properly dealt with. Yeah. Now, that on top of, a few other things, like I just met this amazing girl and, had a, just started a relationship with her. And, a lot of the times that was I was putting too much pressure on myself, and I was kind of acting, in ways that I shouldn't have been acting, in terms of, just, couple of decisions that, was in the end probably stupid choices to make. Nothing too crazy or anything, but just, just look back now and I just feel like it changed me a bit, and I guess, that adding a lot of pressure on myself for someone else, I lost myself, and, that actually unfortunately ended just towards the end of last year. And I look back at it now as just, something that it wasn't as if I sit here and say I could have done better. No, of course I could have, but it was just the fact that, I had so much going on in my life, and it was just an unfortunate timeline in my life that didn't, end up working out. So, and there was a lot of miscommunication and stuff as well. So I guess, those things combined, and as well as attaching myself to so many events, man. Like I had so many things I was trying to do and accomplish. Like I started running ice baths and breath work and, connecting with other, community-based groups and organizations and running sessions with them. And man, I just wanted to do everything, but I just burnt out, bro. Yeah. So I met these guys and they're absolute legends, but one of them actually came down to one of the group meditation sessions I run, and he was like, mate, I'm really interested and keen to replicate something. And anyway, I ended up launching a community group called Runday, and man, it is flying at the moment. These boys get that much traction, and they've got a lot of, they're doing awesome things. Hopefully this virus doesn't slow it down, probably inevitable, but man, so much credit for these boys. So I linked up with them to do, a couple of different collaborations between meditation or the Cure or whatever. So there was one actual group event I did with them at Centennial Park, and I was at my missus at the time, the night before. Anyway, all night my heart was just racing, going 100 miles an hour and vibrating. Out of my chest, man, literally all night. Yeah. And I was having like heart palpitations and everything. And in the morning, she rolled over, she felt my chest, and her hands like going crazy, like moving to the vibration of my chest. And I was like thinking to myself, do I cancel going in? Or it's just me, man, I'm too stubborn. Like, I don't want to let people down, so I ended up going to the event. Anyway, I was like checking out, it was like raining outside. I was like, surely it won't be on. Of course, stopped raining. But I ended up doing it, and I got halfway through, talking about, some mental health topics. And I got through it, the first half, and man, they had to, they dropped everyone into a meditation, and I ended up like going over to one of the boys who was there, and he was a physio, and I was like, man, I'm not well, there's seriously something wrong with me right now. And he's like, you gotta go get checked out, and I go, no, I'll do it after the talk. So I ended up doing the second part of the talk. And literally as soon as I dropped the mic, went to hospital, man, and had to get, the GP to look over just to see what was going on. Anyway, it was from stress. I had seriously burnt myself out, and my physical health now was, suffering. Yeah. So that was a massive wake-up call, man, and, I should have listened then to my body, and I still, I had a few days of, self-rest, whatever, forced rest. But man, just went straight back into it, after that. And that's kind of when the relationship stuff will start to break down as well. And that saying is, again, man, there's always an underlying reason behind things, why they happen. But, that was a massive wake-up call, to, man, you're doing great things, you're helping people in the community, but you're not helping yourself now. And you're not going to be able to give the appropriate and proper messages and, delivery, again, if your cup's half full, Yes. And right now, I'm still doing a bit, but I'm not at the point where I'm, completely exhausted, and I'm kind of balancing more things out. So I'll, I think back into the year I was doing 3 or 4 talks a week, mental health talks. And man, it's, thanks. Yeah, it's, for me, I'm feeling amazing. It's so much better. I get a lot more productivity, and my delivery is a lot better because, man, I'm just finding that balance. If I've got to do a mental health talk, I'll do one in that week, or if I'm doing a podcast, I'll do one, or I'll really space them out, and I'll have other things, I'll try and maneuver and manage my, my schedule so that, if let's say I've got an event on a Saturday, then, the next, I won't book anything in for a few days, post that. Instead, I was like, 24 hours, rip it in. Anyone that see my Instagram or whatever knows me just knows how hard I've been, burning the candle. Yeah. So I probably didn't let that publicly be known that I was kind of burned out, but people saw it. Don't worry, man. People were checking in on me to see how it's doing. I think my brother, God bless him, I live with him, and he was always the same. Just take a step back. Just one day off, man. One day off.
It's so crazy.
Can you do it?
Because when I was taking one day off, oh no way, what the way? It's crazy. I didn't do that. And I think that's so important, man. So I wanted to ask, how do you? I think there's one thing about spacing out the schedule, not taking on so much. But I know that for myself, and I think Femi as well, was that when we were in a position where we were taking on so much, we were so I want to just put my feet in everywhere. I just want to do everything. And even when I gave myself the opportunity to not take on as much, my mind was still always racing and thinking about opportunities or other tasks that I need to do. Have you put in any practices or anything in place to stop you from just like really just living in the moment and not thinking about all the other stuff that you need to do? Have you put any practices in place to help with that?
Yeah, well, I guess this is where what my meditation practice teach more than anything. You know, it's just learning how to be present and not looking into the future, because, you know, and this can be related to now as well. Like, we can't look past tomorrow. Each day now that the coronavirus is changing it's changing government enforced rules. It's, you know, so how can we look at 6 months down the track, man? Like, we need to focus on every moment. And that's what shapes our future. So that's always the perspective I have, is whatever I'm doing now is going to shape what's happening, you know, in the next day, 2 days, 3 months, a year. So it's it is a complete, you know, misinterpretation, or it's a fallacy, let's say, to think, you know, that we need to be looking down the stretch too far. We need to have goals, and we need to set, you know, intentions for where we want to be and where we want to go, but we can't live that way. You know, like, we've got to, because things just continually change, evolve and adapt, you know, to circumstances and situations like we're in now. Like, you know, I guess with everything that's going on in the world right now, everyone's goals have changed. Like, everyone would be in a position now where there's just so much uncertainty that we can't see where we're going to be in 6 months and 12 months' time. So we need to set like, when setting goals, I'll just be setting them one day at a time, literally, you know. Having an idea or a perception of where you want to be, where you want to get to, but everything else just needs to be in the moment, as you said. You know.
Love that. That's so
It's like being aware of the future but not living for it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's such a good saying.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Like that one.
Yeah. Hashtag that shit. I want to ask you a question, actually.
Go for it.
All right. So I'm taking over. Your host, Tommy Kerr. Tommy Kerr 17 on Instagram. But I've got a question for the boys, and that's, you know, obviously we're going through a very, very challenging and difficult time now, but where do you see this going? Like, how do you see this unfolding?
I think there's going to be huge consequences and quite significant consequences for different people.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be massive financial ramifications for many people. I think businesses are going to be forced to pivot and adjust. I think that individuals are going to be put into a place where they're exposed and vulnerable, alongside with people really having to be forced to prioritize what's important to them. So I'm really interested to see how this kind of unfolds in terms of how big it gets and how bad it may get, but also the response as individuals get to, you know, put out there.
Nick, what opportunities do you see that this could present? Like, for instance, for me, randomly, I've enjoyed working from home with my parents there. I thought they would drive me insane.
I love
that. I thought I would be running back like, you know what? It's worth the risk.
I think that's a great question. I think there's a lot of opportunities in this situation, because I think a lot of people now are forced to self-isolate. They're forced to be within themselves and actually think about what's going on. And I think that's that self-awareness piece that it kind of presents. So people are now going to be able to understand what's important, what they enjoy. They're going to be forced to make really hard decisions as a result of what's going on, which is going to allow people to be like, okay, what's actually important to you? And I think that once we overcome this, people are going to have a real good sense of what's truly important and the direction that they want to go. So I think that the economy now, as a result, is going to present itself in a way that it's never presented before, because individuals are going to start acting on things like ambitions or business goals or, you know, family priorities, and hopefully 100%. And I think most importantly that I think people's mental health are going to really not be impacted. I think a lot of people are going to actually see themselves improve in terms of their mental health. Because right now we're in the sense of us being very fear and scared. Right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I want to chime in on that. I feel that has the potential. We have the potential to fall down, go down that path. But I still think we need to be pushing out more than ever. Oh, so much positivity and positive messages for people. You boys continuing, delivering messages like this, being the mental health advocates that you are. And I guess that we need to be giving out people more, information and about, what they can be doing. Like, people look at, okay, well, what is inner reflection? Like, what is? Like, how do I do this, man? And I think the more we can kind of push out now, like I know a lot of people are starting to push, their online training programs, physical stuff, man, but there needs to be more stuff on meditation, and there's got to be more breathing exercises pushed out for people, even like positive reinforcements like these messages as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I mean, because I feel like now that a lot of people are doing, because back in the days, there's a lot of information that's been put out there in terms of mental health, but the thing about it is that the issue is that people weren't really actioning it. People weren't really doing anything. And as a result of us now continuing to push the information out there, people now self-isolate and be like, okay, let me actually act on this information. We're going to see some types of improvement, which is what I would hope as a result.
I would encourage routine for people, especially, I think, in these times of self-quarantine and isolation, people might just be going through the motions, living on autopilot, man. And just like trying to get through, like looking for the future, as we spoke about, man. Like the need for wanting more and like trying to get through a time period without actually living in it. Like they're just waiting for this next, period of like, I know, for instance, people that have been quarantined from traveling overseas and stuff. And, a lot of them struggled in the first couple of days. That's natural. But now I've seen, a few people put out positive, reinforcements to people, like posts, and actually giving them detailed description of what their routine is and, whether it's, just getting up, movement and, setting an alarm like normal, like getting up, movement is medicine, at some point. And, I think that'd be very important for people, like still give yourself a schedule and a routine and get up and go ahead with it,
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's huge because I really just believe that in this point it is so easy for people to become stuck and to really fall into that victim mode because it's not just your self-isolating. Unemployment rate is going up to 13%. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't just staying at home, working from home, waiting for shit to get better. Some people are just fucked and
man.
So, like, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to be able to overcome that. So, I think it's going to, there needs to be active, conscious action.
I actually feel like an overall lockdown might be the best thing. Even if it's just for a few weeks, a month. Like, I don't see how closing down businesses and having people roaming the streets is gonna be a good thing. Like right now, we are not being forced inside. Okay, so right now we've just been told of the closures of non-essential businesses. So people are gonna be out, and they're gonna be roaming, and I think this could open up to some areas of, so I kind of feel like it might be inevitable for us in a week's time that we're actually all enforced into this lockdown self-quarantine rule that many other countries have been, attempting to do now. But
I think it's because I guess obviously we know the concept of why they're doing the whole thing. Like, just called flatten the curve. But I think that if we do go that way, I'm not sure if it's. I think it's what's the most effective. However, I think that there's also, you've got to weigh up what's the most restrictive as well. I don't think that it's also always the best to be the most restricted, because you look at China. The reason why China thinks like that, they just said, you leave your house, you die, nigga. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Like,
boys, I did 18 months of quarantine. Everyone's like fretting. I'm going, man, you'll be fine.
So I think it's interesting. I think Australia's at a point where they could be super aggressive with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they will, and I don't know how Australians will react as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting time.
Yeah. Well, man, they just suspended the NRL, so I think
even the EPL, but I mean, you know, they started putting up the classic minis like all the 12 I've seen this.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm considering. If it does go down that way, I'll definitely go on a social media detox, man. Like, just even it doesn't have to be for long, but just a week, something to freshen up, man.
Yeah.
Just to really, I just think, we won't have a better time if we've got no work on. It might be different for you boys. You work predominantly online stuff, with this. But for me, like a lot of my stuff is physical, and I mean, like, I can continue to push out some meditation stuff. I'll probably do that pre-recording stuff anyway and get that out. But then just give myself a break and just go on that full social media detox, and just shut off for a bit, man. I think that is there is a very powerful, tool we can do in terms of, just giving ourselves a freshen up from that whole digital world.
I think that's really important, especially in this time now, because in social media there's a lot of like, you're seeing yourself being fed all like the fear, the scarcity, because people are reacting, and you're like, oh shit, there's so much things to worry about right now. Should I be scared? Like, even I was thinking, I was back in the day, when I was, not back in the day, last week. But when I was like, oh, should we eat into this whole hoarding and like start buying all this like toilet paper rolls and all that? Because I'm running out. I can't buy anything anymore.
This is so funny. Because a friend of mine, Brenton, we had one or two drinks at the local restaurant last week, and we were like getting the reports that were going into lockdown last week and whatever. Anyway, like, because we've had a couple of drinks, we just like rationally just go to the supermarket and start shopping. We got alcohol. Anyway, we're on the way home, like lugging all this stuff home. We just look at each other and just go, I can't believe we just fell for that.
But that's what it does. It'll get you.
You're feeding into it, you're like, nah, do something like that. That detox is going to be like,
look, man, that was crazy. That was fun. That was,
I love it, man.
I had a really good time chatting. I think there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be there. Might have to split it because it was a very long one. Honestly, mate.
Just pick up a good bit.
Yeah.
Laughing, bro.
Yeah.
That was nice.